The naval and coast guard ships have lit up as a tribute to the coronavirus warriors. Some spectacular visuals that we're getting to you, I believe, from Port Blair. Sam, if I can come to you first, what's it been like? What have you witnessed?
Rishika, we come to you from the Marina Beach in Chennai, and behind us, two vessels fully illuminated. Occasionally, they also fire sparklers as the armed forces tribute to all the COVID warriors fighting the virus on the front line. The doctors, nurses, health workers, sanitary workers, police, farmers, and a range of other government and paramedical officials who are fighting the coronavirus. And this comes after a few hours after the choppers also showered petals on 4 different hospitals across Chennai, which are treating the corona positive patients. In fact, if the camera can pan, I'll move this side. They have 2 vessels fully lit up, and as their mark of respect, tribute for the doctors, nurses, paramedics, sanitary workers and health workers. Mixed reactions coming from doctors and the ordinary people. Many say it's India's tribute to the frontline warriors, but many also cite how even in Chennai, a couple of weeks ago, a doctor who had contracted the virus and died, local communities did not allow his body to be buried. They attacked the ambulance carrying his body. Ultimately, a doctor himself had to bury his friend's body. So they say it's not enough to stop with this kind of symbolism. The stigma attached to doctors in many communities ought to stop. Many doctors who are on the front line, they say, don't have PPEs, personal protective equipment. They ought to be provided. And it's that kind of changes, they say, will motivate doctors besides this to really fight this coronavirus. But largely people say it's yet another sign, yet another symbolism, yet another fine gesture by the armed forces this time to say thank you to all the frontline warriors. This is the 3rd such gesture in the recent past.
Right, and absolutely, while these the visuals have been spectacular and doctors say this has been a morale booster, there are some very serious problems that ought to be addressed in terms of shortage of PPE kits, protection given to health workers who are fighting on the front lines. Let me also get in a perspective from Sohit. He's joining us from Mumbai. Sohit, what's the spectacle like there?
Well, right now I am at Gateway of India, and as you could see, throughout the day we saw the Indian Armed Force conducting flypasts, playing military bands, shower flower petals at hospitals treating COVID-19 patients. Now the naval officials at the Western Naval Command have illuminated 5 naval ships, and this will be continue to illuminate from 7:30 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. at Gateway of India. Now they will also be prominently displaying banners which says India salutes Corona warriors. Apart from that, there will be also a ship siren that will be played, as well as a fire flare that happened around 7:30 p.m. So this is currently what is happening right now over here. Throughout the day, we saw that there were shower flower petals that happened at hospitals treating COVID-19 patients across the country to express the gratitude to the people fighting the virus. Now, similar thing is being done by the Western Naval Command, and as you could see these visuals in Mumbai right now, when we can see 5 the naval ships that have been present at Gateway of India, and they are prominently, what we have been told by the naval officers is that they are displaying banners which says India salutes Corona warriors. Apart from that, there is also the sound of ship siren. I don't know if you are able to hear, but there is a sound of ship siren that is being currently played over there. And apart from that, a flare was also fired at 7:30 p.m. at Anchorage. So this is currently what is happening, and as Sam was saying, this is just to boost the morale of all the Corona warriors who are present not only in Mumbai but across the country. And it is also important in Mumbai because, as we know, the number of cases in Mumbai and Maharashtra has been high as compared to other cities or states in the country. So this is just a tribute that is being given to the Corona warriors. There are also few police personnel who are present over here, although they are not allowed to speak on camera. I asked them that how do they feel that people are thanking them. They said that this helps because all they are doing is going to such places, the contaminated zones, taking risk. But now since people across country are
Yes, you raise a very interesting point, and I want to go back to Sam, on this point as well. Sam Daniels, this is not just a tribute to medical workers or health workers. This is a tribute to every person who is fighting the coronavirus on the front line. That includes the armed forces, it includes police personnel, it includes those running grocery stores, risking their lives at a time like this, stepping out of their homes. What's the kind of reaction that you've seen from people, Sam? We saw petal showers earlier this morning, helicopters, in the skies, and now we're seeing these vessels being lit up. What's the reaction from people?
When we spoke to a few people this afternoon, Rishika, many were quite emotional. The very sight of something spectacular, something very special, the helicopter symbolizing something very special, flying past the hospitals and showering flower petals. They said that brings in a kind of joy. They feel as if they specially thank all the frontline warriors, from doctors, nurses who are treating in the hospitals, and also a range of people across the country, from the armed forces, the police, who spend sleepless nights on the road along the borders to make sure the lockdown is fully implemented. In fact, risking their own lives, keeping aside the interests of their families and their own personal interests. The shopkeepers, the milkwallas, the pushcart people who sell fruits and vegetables to make sure everyone would get their food on their table. So it's an emotional moment for many of them. At the same time, they also said it's important that the frontline people, the frontline staff, the warriors are also really taken care of very well, and public largely mean what these gestures actually say in letter and spirit. Rishika.
Well, absolutely. And Sohit, what's been the reaction in Mumbai? We know that, especially Mumbai has been one of the worst affected cities. Very high number of coronavirus cases, large number of containment zones. So clearly a lot of people have been fighting the virus on the front lines. What's been the reaction of people in Mumbai? There were some spectacular visuals this morning, of the fly past that you sent us from Marine Drive.
That's right. There were spectacular vision that we saw visuals from Marine Drive, be it the KM Hospital or other places. Now we spoke to a few doctors and asked them what do they feel about this. So as Sam was also saying that although this boosts the morale of all these people, even the ships that we are seeing right now that is being illuminated over here, but the main questions are still over here, as if the police personnel were telling us that there are still thousands of migrant workers who want to go back home. They don't know what to do. There are people who are still starving. There are doctors who still don't have the PPE kits, who are they still don't have all those necessary things that are required to keep them safe. Now, even in Maharashtra, we have seen that more than 300 police personnel have been affected by corona. 3 of them are dead in Mumbai itself. So these are also the ground realities. So although we are doing everything that that is happening currently in India, they were thankful that people are appreciating their work, but they also want the government to ensure that they are more safe, as well as there is more communication between them and the government, so that more things can be done, not only for them but also for keeping all the other patients as well as the citizens safe. Because what we have been saying, that there have been more than 12,000 cases in this state and more than 7,000 cases in Mumbai itself. In Dharavi, we have seen that more than 300 cases have come forward.
Yes, because what you're essentially saying is that, this is a wonderful spectacle. It has been appreciated. It has been a morale booster. But there are several other very substantial existential issues that also need to be dealt with. And one hopes that, as the number of cases rise, as the mortality figure in India rises, those issues that those fighting on the front lines are facing are also dealt with. I'm going to, try and go back to Sam Daniels to try and understand, what really is happening at the Marina Beach. Sam, it is a bit ironical, isn't it? Because, as far as the fly past was concerned this morning, some people may have been able to witness it from the comfort of their homes, but the naval ships lighting up, people are probably tuning into television channels to try and catch a glimpse of the tribute that is being paid. One can't really witness it firsthand.
That's right. That's like many of the ironies we face during this lockdown. The air is clean, but we still wear masks, like that. Yet another thing, of course, media, social media, the footage and the pictures shared by the armed forces themselves via social media, all these would take the message to the people. Many also told me this afternoon that in one sense, all these are waste of money at a time when the country would require more resources to fight the corona battle in terms of feeding the poor, feeding the migrant laborers, people who don't have their livelihood opportunities and they are perhaps starving or missing or skipping their meals. And in that sense, many feel these spectacles could have been avoided and the symbolism could have been conveyed in a rather inexpensive, in a simple way. But that's a different, these are debatable. But of course, if my colleague can pan the camera and show what's happening this side, Marina Beach, which would be normally packed during a weekend like this, on a Sunday like this, except the fishing boats and scores of fishermen who are taking rest on the sand here. There's nobody else, no visitors on this otherwise busy beach, world's second longest beach. And there's nobody to see except the media persons here because police will not allow, the rules don't allow, and only the social media and the mainstream media, and perhaps many will also see the news bulletins later and read about these in the papers tomorrow. Rishika.
Well, absolutely, Sam. So people will read about it in the paper. Some people probably tuning in and watching it on television, live television right now as it happens. But, you know, it's ironical because all, what you showed us is a handful of fishermen at the Marina Beach there who can perhaps witness it firsthand. So a lot of people can't really witness, it firsthand. But how unprecedented is it? You know, you've perhaps been at this beach several times. Have you ever seen a spectacle like this before?
The spectacle in terms of the ships, the naval ships getting fully illuminated like this, it's the first time for me. Of course, we would have had like this in the past, but in the last 15 years I've been in Chennai covering, we have never seen like this. And in that sense, it's very, very special. Had it been a normal day, I'm sure there would have been thousands of people flocking to the marina here to witness the spectacle. But now, it's unprecedented. Of course, the beach was blocked for some time a few years ago, for instance, when we had the Jallikattu uprising. The Marina Beach became the ground zero for the protests in Tamil Nadu. After that, the police had invoked prohibitory orders and followed that in letter and spirit, not allowing people to gather here in large numbers. But otherwise, Marina Beach on a Sunday evening like this would have been packed with people, thousands of people with little children, and this wouldn't have been an occasion they would have wanted to miss otherwise.
All right, very interesting perspective there, Sam, that you're giving us. We're, of course, getting in visuals, from Chennai. We're getting in visuals from Port Blair, from Mumbai, where, Coast Guard and Navy ships have, been lit up. There were flares that were fired as well. Those are the shots that I'm told we're getting in from Port Blair, and that's the the visual of that flare being fired. This is all, of course, to pay our tributes, respect, and say thank you to coronavirus warriors, the heroes who selflessly continue to battle on the front lines. These are, people like doctors who save lives, people, like policemen who are out enforcing the lockdown, and even ordinary folk like people who are, delivery staff, people running restaurant kitchens, people bringing you essential services, truck drivers, farmers, people transporting and making sure that you have food on your table. So a big salute to everyone, who is fighting on the front lines. Vishnu Som joining us on the phone line. Vishnu, spectacular visuals that we are putting out on our screens. Navy and Coast Guard ships, I'm told. How unprecedented is this? When ordinarily does this ever happen?
No, this does happen actually. It happened during the International Fleet Review a few years back off the coast of Visakhapatnam. There are a few occasions every year when the Navy does actually light up its warships like this. But I think it is unprecedented now in the sense that it's never happened where, all the warships or several warships of the Navy, several ships of the Coast Guard, they all come together and sort of display solidarity for a particular cause. That particular cause now is COVID-19, and this is all part of a process where the armed forces are trying to show their support for India's COVID fighters, whether they are nurses or they are medics or they are doctors, they are policemen, they are police women across the country. So we've seen these signs of solidarity from early in the morning when Air Force fighters flew in several parts of the country, Air Force transports. There were helicopters as well, which showered petals on hospitals. And now you see the Coast Guard and the Navy being actively involved in this. The images that you would see would be from Port Blair, they'd be from Kochi, from Mumbai, from Visakhapatnam. So all over the country, we are a maritime nation, something we frequently forget. And therefore the Navy and the Coast Guard are very central to the entire process of showing support at a time like this. And as we show these images, and they are of course lovely images, I think we need to reflect on the context of what else has happened today. The tragic encounter in Jammu and Kashmir and Handwara, where two terrorists were killed, but unfortunately four soldiers and one police sub-inspector were killed in action in that horrific encounter. So as we fight COVID on the one hand, our soldiers, our men and women in uniform continue the fight against terrorism. And so this is perhaps an even more insidious threat than COVID itself. And we should spare a thought for the families of those who have lost so much. So
Absolutely.
Really.
Absolutely, Vishnu. I think, the irony there isn't lost in anyone. But I have to ask you, there appears to be a trend. We've seen flypasts, happen in the US as well. Just a short while ago, we brought those visuals to our viewers. We've seen tributes being tributes for frontline workers in the UK, in Spain. But what we're witnessing here, this is really, it's surreal in a certain sense, very serene. Just these vessels lit up in the night sky. Unfortunately, nobody can really see this in person. People are probably tuning in to television to watch it, or will read about it in the papers tomorrow morning.
No, Rishika, if you live in Kochi or in Mumbai or in Vizag, then you would definitely be able to see it. Or in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, you'd be able to see these ships. They're not far out at sea, most of them. They are just docked off the coast in a place where they are very easily visible. So a lot of people would actually be seeing this at the moment.